Boris Johnson is already facing calls for his resignation because of celebrations during the lockdown. And now there's information, as I said this morning already, that Downing Street even met weekly for a drink. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is still constantly being accused of breaching corona rules at his seat of government, and he's coming under increasing pressure in the Partygate affair. And according to a media report, during the pandemic, there were not just isolated, but regular meetings in Downing Street where alcohol was drunk. I'm repeating this from this morning, but it's important for the main part of this video. This was reported by The Mirror, which is usually well informed on that matter. Johnson's staff met every Friday for Wine Time Fridays, and the Prime Minister encouraged them to let off steam, even though indoor meetings were strictly prohibited under the UK's lockdown rules. And the head of government had visited the meetings several times himself. The employees even bought an office refrigerator, especially for the regular meetings, to keep their bottles of white wine, Prosecco and their beer cool. Helpers are said to have obtained supplies for the planned drinking rounds in the local Tesco supermarket. Well, Friday meetings have been a long Downing Street tradition, including under previous British governments, but the meetings were also continued after the corona restrictions were imposed. So it's a difference between the former governments and this ones. Things are getting tighter, as we would say, for Johnson in the Partygate affair, and several members of his Tory party have already called for his resignation. And as usual, he wants to get out of trouble politically with a comprehensive restart. Internal investigations are currently underway in the lockdown parties in his seat of government. And of course, the Prime Minister wants to wait for the results, but it is an internal thing from their side. It's not independent. The question now is how long Johnson can stay in office. 3 scenarios are being discussed in the London government district. And the first one is he leaves in the next few weeks. The public seems to have had their verdict now. Johnson is now more unpopular than his predecessor Theresa May shortly before she stepped down in May 2019, according to the latest YouGov poll. On Thursday evening, on the Question Time program, a BBC talk show with a representative audience, there was a rare unanimity. One speaker after the other called for Johnson's resignation. Even the first Conservative local groups and the first members of the lower house now consider their leader to be intolerable. Well, I consider him that for quite a long time, but people can learn. The Prime Minister admitted this week for the first time that he attended a garden party in Downing Street on May 20th in 2020. He apologized in Parliament for the mistake. No, he didn't apologize for the mistake, but for being caught. But insisted he mistook the lockdown party for a work event. Yeah, cheers. Johnson has made himself the laughingstock of the entire country with his protected claim, designed to protect him from prosecution. So far, he has withstood public pressure, but he will probably not resign voluntarily. And to force a vote on the Prime Minister, 15% of the Conservative faction would have to vote no confidence in him. That would be 54 rebels. The first letter of no confidence have already been received by the spokesman for the Conservative backbenchers. But many MPs are still waiting to see what the official internal investigation into the lockdown celebrations reveals. Government official Sue Gray is reviewing at least 9 different celebrations in May and December 2020 and April 2021. Her verdict is expected in the coming week. And according to the Times, she will only state facts and will not assign personal blame. Yeah, we will see how that will end. That would probably not be enough to bring about Johnson's downfall. His cabinet is also still with him. Not a single minister has resigned in protest yet. As long as this does not change, Johnson will remain in office. But there's a second scenario. The Tories wait until May. A reckoning after the local and regional elections on May 5th is more likely. Another defeat for the Conservatives is expected there, not only because of the outrage over Partygate, but also because, given the rising inflation, a crisis in the cost of living is looming. Johnson's power with the Tories is based on being an election winner. Should he now prove to be a burden, many party members believe there is no longer any reason to hold on to him. And Chancellor of the Exchequer Rishi Sunak and Foreign Minister Liz Truss are traded as possible successors. The next general election is expected to take place in 2024. The successor would therefore have 2 years to develop their own profile as Prime Minister and to go into the election with an office bonus. So, this summer would be a good time to draw a line under Johnson's scandalous era and dare a fresh start. But there's also scenario 3. Close your eyes and just get through, so the typical Johnson way. Above all, Johnson remains hopeful. The possible successors are not convincing his party either. Sunak is considered too smooth and profileless, Truss as incompetent. Some observers therefore do not want to write off the Prime Minister just yet. The Conservatives might give him another chance because there are no good alternatives, says at least Tim Bale, a professor of politics at Queen Mary University in London. It is also not easy to get rid of a Prime Minister who does not want to go. That was shown by Theresa May at the time. The head of government first survived a vote of no confidence and then remained in office for another 6 months. Only the defeat in the 2019 European elections sealed her fate. If the Tories do better than expected in local elections and Johnson can continue to rally his cabinet, he could remain in office beyond the summer. However, it is difficult to see how he intends to continue governing in the long term. His authority is gone. The whole country only jokes about him. Internally, Johnson is already considered a dead man walking, so his departure seems only a matter of time. But the good question is, what do you think? Which scenario is the most likely? Or do you believe in a different outcome of the whole thing? Just write it in the comments. I'm quite curious about what you will say. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.